I came home to a lock that didn't recognize my key. That quiet, metallic rejection was louder than any shout. It was the sound of my own life locking me out. The autumn air was colder than I'd expected. I'd only been gone 4 days, helping my oldest friend Eleanor after a surgery. She needed the support, and I'll admit, I needed the break from the constant tension that had filled the house I'd owned for 47 years. You never think you'll be a stranger at your own door. I'd called before I left. I'd left a note on the counter. Back Monday. Love, Mom. Simple words you write when you believe you still have a home. I jiggled the key again. Nothing. Then I saw the small professional sticker by the deadbolt. Premier Locksmiths. Serviced Saturday 4:15 p.m. Atterday. The day after I'd left. They hadn't even waited 48 hours. I rang the bell, my pulse echoing in my ears. Silence. I knocked, the sound absorbed by the heavy door. My rose bushes, pruned back too aggressively, looked like skeletons. The mailbox still had the dent from where David, my son, had hit it with a baseball. The welcome mat was askew. It still said, "The Miller family." I stepped back, gazing up at the windows, all with the shades pulled down. A deep, chilling understanding began to wrap around me. This was deliberate. This was a calculated move. I checked my phone. No notifications. I called David. It rang and rang, then clicked to voicemail. David, it's Mom. I'm home from Eleanor's. I can't get in. The lock has been changed. Call me back, please. I sat in my car for half an hour, my hands shaking not from the cold, but from a hollow, spreading disbelief. I drove around the neighborhood, a pointless circuit of hope. Maybe they'd just run to the store. But when I circled back, their car was there. The sleek black sedan I'd co-signed for, parked perfectly on the driveway my late husband, Michael, and I had paved ourselves. I got out, knocked again, rang again. Nothing. It was in that stillness that the truth settled, cold and hard. Not as a hot rage, but as a clear, sobering fact. They had exiled me from my own history. I didn't yell. The tears wouldn't even come. I got back in the car and parked a block away, where I could still see the roof of my house. I had no one to call who wouldn't demand an explanation I couldn't yet form. That night I tried to sleep in the driver's seat. My body protested with every ache. Around 3 a.m., I had to find a 24-hour diner to use the restroom. I bought a slice of pie I didn't eat just to feel like a patron and not a vagrant. The waitress gave me a kind smile and I almost broke down right there. By 6:30 a.m., I was back in my spot. The sky was softening with dawn. And then I saw her. Chloe, my daughter-in-law, stepped out onto the porch in a cashmere robe, holding a minimalist mug I'd bought her. She took a slow, deliberate sip, scanned the lawn as if inspecting it, and turned to go back inside without a single glance toward the street. That simple, dismissive act was the final confirmation. A profound calm washed over me. I drove away, but this time I had a destination in mind. This house wasn't a mansion. 3 bedrooms, a small garden, wallpaper in the hall I'd been meaning to change. But it was a vault of memories. Michael and I bought it in 1976, stretching our budget to its absolute limit. It had orange countertops and a noisy furnace, but the light in the sunroom was magical. Michael died in that sunroom, a sudden stroke 12 years ago, his newspaper still in his lap. I'd lived alone since, content in my solitude, until they arrived. David married Chloe 3 years after his father passed. She was a woman with a sharp, minimalist philosophy and a job in brand optimization. which seemed to mean removing anything with history or sentiment. She despised the house from day one, called it cluttered, said it had poor energy flow. When David's department was downsized and Chloe's startup funding stalled, they needed a stopgap. That was the word David used. Just for a few months, Mom, until we regain our footing. I paused, but he said, it would mean the world to us. And that was all it took. My son was asking for help. They moved in on a rainy Sunday. Suitcases of black clothing, a portable standing desk, a device that humidified and purified the air. Chloe spent the first afternoon directing David on which of my family photos to store. I found a portrait of my parents on their wedding day in a bin marked Donate. David offered a half-hearted excuse. She's just trying to create a cohesive space, Mom. It was already cohesive, I'd replied. He just smiled weakly. It's about aesthetics. That was the start. Within a week, the living room was rearranged. Within 2, the coffee maker was replaced. By the 3rd, I stopped buying my favorite bread because Chloe said the carbs were inflammatory. I began to feel like a boarder in my own home. She called me Patricia, never Mom, not even Mrs. Miller. Just Patricia, as if I were a co-worker. When I brought it up to David, he said, she's just very direct. It's not directness, I said. It's distance. But the truth was, I had permitted it. I made concessions. I cooked their meals. I stopped watching my evening shows because Chloe found the dialogue stimulating. I'd hoped, naively, that this closeness would rebuild my bond with my son. Instead, I found myself fading into the background, trying to become less of an obstacle. I recall one night overhearing them talk in the kitchen. She still uses fabric softener, Chloe said, a note of disdain in her voice. It's what she's used to, David replied, his tone weary. It's toxic. It ruins the air quality. I stood just around the corner, holding my breath, feeling like an intruder. I started sleeping poorly, but I stayed. I clung to the promise of temporary. Then came Eleanor's call. Her voice was thin. Could you come stay for a few days? I looked at my silent, curated existence. Of course, I said. I left on Friday. They changed the locks on Saturday. I raised David in this house. He took his first steps trying to reach a rolling ball. Said his first word, light, pointing at the sun through the window. When he had nightmares, he'd sneak into our bed, his small body a warm weight beside me. I cherished all those moments, but I believe he'd boxed them away. Michael once told me, that boy has eyes for the horizon, Patty. One day he might not look back. I'd laugh it off. He's our son. He loves us. He loves the safety net we provide, Michael would say. Remember that. The first sign was when David brought Chloe home for Thanksgiving. She didn't offer to help cook. She didn't ask about Michael's career. She remarked that the turkey was a very large commitment and asked if we had any kale. I felt suddenly obsolete. David just watched her enchanted. I said nothing. The wedding was in a modern art gallery, all white and steel. I wore a suit I'd bought for the occasion and smiled until my cheeks ached. They didn't ask for money directly, but 2 months before the wedding, David came over with a printout. Just to help with the final payments, Mom. $8,000. I transferred the funds immediately. Michael would have shaken his head. I called it maternal duty. After the wedding, the visits became sporadic, the calls brief. Then came the financial pinches. A short-term loan for the security deposit. Could you cover this vet bill? It began modestly and expanded. I paid for a car repair. I covered a dental bill. Each time, David vowed to repay me. Each time I told him it was a gift. What I didn't say was that I hoped my support would be a tether back to him. Instead, it led here. A locked door. A silent phone. A daughter-in-law who had viewed me as a temporary inconvenience from the start. The deepest cut wasn't her ambition. It was his acquiescence. The first week they were there, I made my famous lasagna. I set the table with the good linens. Chloe took a small bite and set her fork down. "I'm actually gluten-free now," she stated. David immediately launched into a story about his gym, pretending not to notice. I should have recognized it then. But when your child returns, a part of you believes in redemption. "It's only for a little while," David kept repeating. But a little while became indefinite, and the lines of my own domain dissolved. First, I surrendered the master bedroom. "The walk-in closet is a game changer, Mom." It was the room where Michael and I had shared our lives. I told myself it was just a space. Then it was the pantry. My canned goods were relocated to the basement. Her organic packaged foods took precedence. My rocking chair, the one where I'd nursed David, was moved to the attic. "It disrupts the sight lines," Chloe explained. I walked into the den one morning with my crossword puzzle. Chloe was on the floor doing yoga. "Oh, Patricia," she said, not pausing her movements. "I'd appreciate some privacy in here during my practice." I was speechless. "This is the den. It's my wellness space from 7 to 8, she clarified. I started spending more time in my room, reading on my tablet, trying to minimize my footprint. One day, I noticed a letter from my pension fund had been opened. When I asked, Chloe said, "I was just ensuring we had a full financial picture." We. I was no longer included in the we. I was a variable in their equation. The only time she seemed genuinely happy with me was when I mentioned the trip to Eleanor's. "Oh, that's perfect," she exclaimed, her eyes lighting up. "You deserve a real rest." The morning I left, she gave me a quick, dry hug. "No rush to return," she said. I didn't grasp her meaning until I came back, key in hand to a door that wouldn't open. The first thing I did was find my address book. I called Leo, a retired contractor who'd fixed everything for us since the 80s. A man of integrity and no nonsense. "Leo, it's Patty Miller." A grunt of acknowledgement. "I need my locks changed, now." He didn't ask for a reason. "I'm on my way." I met him at the house at 9 a.m. He looked at the new chrome lock and snorted. "Flimsy," he muttered. Within 20 minutes, the alien hardware was gone, replaced by a sturdy brass deadbolt. He handed me 3 new keys. "Need a 4th? "No," I said. 3 is more than enough." He gave me a long, knowing look. "You okay, Patty?" "I am now," I said, and I felt it. At 9:35, I turned my new key and re-entered my home. It smelled of eucalyptus and bleach. My throw pillows were stacked in a corner. The Afghan I'd knitted was draped over a chair like a prop. But the grandfather clock in the hall still ticked its familiar rhythm. I went to the master suite. My belongings were packed away in tidy boxes. I carried each one back from the storage room. It took me most of the morning to return the room to a state that felt like me. Then I went to their room. Chloe's possessions were arranged with clinical order. Her handbags, her laptop, her collection of essential oils. Methodically, I carried it all outside. I didn't dump it. I positioned each item on the lawn, creating a neat, intentional display. It was not an act of anger, but of restoration. I went inside, brewed a pot of coffee, and waited. At 10:15, the doorknob rattled fiercely. Then came the sharp rapping. Patricia, open up! Chloe's voice was a razor. What is the meaning of this? Why is my stuff on the grass? I took a slow, calm sip of my coffee. I stood, walked to the door, and opened it. David's face was a mask of confusion. Chloe's was twisted in rage. I looked at them both. It's not in the street, I said evenly. It's on my lawn. This is psychotic. Chloe shrieked. So is barring a woman from her own home, I replied. There was a misunderstanding, David stammered. No, I said, my voice unwavering. There was a decision, and I've made mine. He stared at me as if seeing a stranger. You may come in to get whatever is left. You have 10 minutes. You're seriously throwing us out? He asked, disbelief in his eyes. You did that to me first, I said. I'm just agreeing with your decision. They brushed past me. Chloe marched to the bedroom, violently stuffing a bag. David hovered in the hallway. Mom, this isn't what family does. You're absolutely right, I said softly. It's not. The minutes ticked by in a frenzy of packing and hissed arguments. They came back down, laden with bags. I'll arrange for the rest, Chloe snapped. You'll schedule it, I said. And I will supervise. You don't believe us? David asked, looking wounded. You can't break into a house that you already own. No, I said. The time for belief has passed. Chloe stormed out first. David hesitated in the doorway. We need to discuss this. I'm done discussing, I said. And I closed the door, not with a bang, but with a soft, definitive thud. The silence that rushed in was not empty. It was spacious. It was mine. I walked through my halls, my home, and I finally took a full, deep breath. The phone buzzed an hour later. David, I let it go to voicemail. A text followed. We need to talk. You're blowing this way out of proportion. I didn't respond. It wasn't out of proportion. It was long overdue proportion. By lunchtime, the lawn was empty. The porch was just my porch again. I sat at my kitchen table, the sun warming my skin, and I did not feel alone. I felt resolved. I felt complete. The house was silent, but the silence was no longer oppressive. It was a peace I had fought for. The next day, I called my attorney. It was time to revise my will, to ensure my home would always be a sanctuary, not an asset to be contested. I wasn't acting from spite, but from self-love, for myself, and for the legacy within these walls. Some relationships can't be mended. Some doors need to remain shut, so you can finally hear the sound of your own soul. If this story spoke to you, please give it a thumbs up and share your own experiences in the comments. It genuinely supports our channel, Grace's Stories. Thank you for being here.